might not be on tomorrow. We will see how things go, but today I am definitely here. We will definitely be on here. Hope everybody doing good. And it is Wednesday morning or afternoon. So just doing the thing and just living large, trying to live into the moment. Hope everybody's doing good. Um, so we get real quick. What's going on? So anyway, the video is pretty self-explanatory today. Meant to say Beyonce. We got Beyonce. So if you come on here, you can see what the poll is. The Beyonce stolen music in Atlanta, was it legit or was it fake? I was kind of reluctant when I saw that thing because I thought to myself, I said, okay, she got something. Was it real or was it fake? You tell me. As tightly secure as her music has been all these years, someone just so happens to come into a car rental and jacks the music in Atlanta. Like someone didn't know where the music was, like they didn't know where the files were. Is that believable? Or are you calling cap on it? Yeah. Anyway, been doing some stuff today, so most of the stuff is like future videos and things of that nature. I get a lot of different requests, so I got a lot of stuff that I'm going to be working on. But we got some stuff coming up and lined up, and we will, it's a lot of questions, a lot of good stuff coming. So stay hanging in there. When people be submitting stuff, I got a lot of stuff that I got to go through, which is all good. It's all good. I got some stuff that I'm still working on. So some videos I'm working on, so whatever. But anyway, feel free. It is Wednesday. Hope everybody's having a good day. Believe it or not, we're almost in the middle of summer. It's hard to believe. Can I say that legally, allegedly? It's crazy. How you doing? How you doing? Thank you for coming through. When you get up to this point, you are at the halfway point of summer. It's crazy when you think about how fast the summer goes. I hear people complain, "Oh, it's hard, it's hard." I said, "Look, it don't last that long. And if you're in school, it always felt the same. Summer never lasted long enough." So, but anyway, hope everybody's doing good. And feel free to hit the poll question. You think Beyonce pulled a fast one, or do you think she really got her music capped in Atlanta? What you think? Let me know. We are live and we're coming here to you, so we're going to see what we got. See if anybody wants to come through today. Now, again, if people come through, I'll be on at least an hour. If not, I will cut it to half. I just go by based on how much clicks, views, and people come through. So clicks, views, and how many people come through. Like a lot of videos and a lot of stuff out. So feel free to check out the site. It all depends if everything is all right. So we will see. Hello, how are you? Thank you for coming through. Anybody come through today, please tell me where you're coming from and hope you're having a good day. I am just sitting here waiting on people to come through. I know that, some people at work, some people are enjoying the sun. Could be any number of things. Just let me know when you're here. And we will be here. I know they're off to a kind of a slow start today, but it's all good. Anyway, in between time, just finishing up a lot of projects, so there's a lot of stuff that's coming through the pipeline. So we shall see. What we got in store. So just kind of like in chill mode today. Thank you for coming through. Feel free to, tell me where you're coming from. Not always able to do the what I like to do because of the how the algorithms go with But anyway, we're gonna see what's up. We're gonna see what's up. Trying to think how I put my thoughts into my thoughts. You know how it is. Sometimes you're trying to put your thoughts into your thoughts. Yeah. So thoughts is onto your thoughts. But to do those things. So it's in pretty good laid back spirits though. But anyway, we just starting out here today, just waiting to see everybody coming through. See if anybody wants to come through today, see what we're working with. Gonna be here for a minute. So it's pretty low key so far today. So just gonna be here for probably about, well, if I don't people don't come through today, I'll probably be here for about 20 more minutes. I got videos, so it's not like I'm not, it's no idle time. I'm coming here to the live stream, and then I'll be here. But there's no buzz. I go back to working on the videos. I'm good. I got a lot of stuff that I'm working on, so lots of stuff. Yeah, it's coming relatively easy though. The things you got coming that are going to be good, and then you got some other stuff that's just going to be kind of see, if I don't see a lot going on today, as far as the live stream, then I'll probably come back. What's your problems? What is your problems? You shouldn't have no problems with me. You should have a problem with what they're saying. You shouldn't have no problems with me. I gave my opinion because I have a problem with what they're saying. So what's your problem? That makes no sense. You should have no problem with a stupid list. Tell me you can't hear me. And what's your problem? Do tell. I await. I'm going to be working on part two of the Bleacher Report. Okay, but just tell me what's your problems though with the Bleacher Report. By the time my voice will get in a fine tune, we can get through the problem of it. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. He was the last man to three-peat. The last three-peat finals. He's got as many finals MVPs as Duncan and Bird. He three-peated. Oh, I'm entitled to my opinion. You don't like it. I mean, whatever. He's not better than Kobe Bryant. He's not top 10. In fact, the longer he plays, the worse it looks. Because actually, Rob Parker, who I hit and miss with, Shaq and Kobe, just like Kareem and Magic, those four belong top 10. And Shaquille O'Neal was the last dominant player before Steph Curry came along. There's only been three guys who changed the course in the last 30, 40 years. That was Jordan, Shaq, and Curry. That's top 10. LeBron ain't changed the course. He's benefited from aspects, but he ain't changed the course. There's nothing special about his game in terms, his longevity is special, stacking, but there's nothing special. And who else do you know that's 4-6? He's not dominant. He was in the whack East. What's he done in the West? When's he not with a loaded team? When did he not have a perennial all-star guard? Shaq went to the finals with three different teams, with three different sidekicks, and not a lot to the half of LeBron had. That's why they had the hacker Shaq. That's why they had centers that were employed to give out six fouls. I don't know how old you is, and I obviously don't can tell you ain't really that deep in basketball if you don't know your history. The hacker Shack was a rule that was allowed. That was one man that they couldn't referee. If LeBron's behind got in the post in the box, he might get to the free throw line more, but he refuses to. He benefited from Steph Curry shooting them logo threes because it bought him a 3-point career, which he didn't have. Up until the finals against the Spurs in 2013, Popovich and them were letting him shoot outside of his pleasure. So now, if you didn't see the prime of Shaq, then he's not going to look special to you. If you didn't understand his dominance, it's not going to make sense to you. But when you look up at two of the top 10 highest scoring averages in the finals, there's only one other person besides Shaquille O'Neal on there. That's Michael Jordan. Rare company, my friend. Shaq's always in rare company. LeBron ain't up there. And that's with 10 rebounds as well. So take that how you want to take it. Because Curry never played with a Shaquille O'Neal. And Shaquille O'Neal towers over Kevin Durant. And for my money, Kevin Durant's too high on that list. They got Kevin Durant like 12th or something. He ain't the 12th best. That's way too high for him. In fact, Durant's stock's falling just like LeBron's is falling. Because I think Jokic and Giannis win another ring, they surpass him. He's not ahead of those guys right now. Not like that. Only because he got the 30,000 points. Except for a couple of things. Draymond Green is in top 75. He's trash. Clay, I'll give you. But Clay is more in the 60 to 72 range. And it's like because his impact is there, but it wasn't. So but Dre ain't there. I'll take Paul Gasol over Draymond. Draymond is overrated. He's a triple junior whopper, broke Dennis Rodman, and he wouldn't have made it back in the day. Clay, I'll give you when Clay was on point, and Clay had Game 7, came up big. Clay was big, but Clay couldn't stay healthy, and sometimes Clay didn't go to another gear. Lamar could do more. I don't know because sometimes Lamar was Kobe's sidekick. At worst, he was a third option. Draymond on a legit team was a fourth option. Odoms was a guy who could play all different positions. He just didn't. And yeah, what's that like? What 6 points, 6 fouls, 6 turnovers? That's his triple double. No one talks about Draymond Green. He only in 2019. I'll give you two. That series against Portland when they won and lost to Toronto in the finals, but he didn't do nothing in the finals. And then 2016, the 32, the last game 7. He did 8 years ago, not recently. Don't start that lie because that series against Boston in 23, you look at what you're saying. Look at what you're saying. And look who he was playing with. And he was still the fourth option. Miss me with that. Fourth option. He had a couple of moments where he had some out of body, but he was the fourth option. What happened in 20? Got amnesia about 23 now. Or was it 22? It was 22. Yeah. Finals against Boston. He took out Jalen Brown. They let him sit there and shoot a couple of threes because he was in the doghouse. And almost was the end of him. I'm not impressed by Draymond. I seen better. And no, he wasn't better than Meta World Peace. See, if you don't put Draymond with Golden State, anywhere else he's garbage. The Elijah One rings are disrespected because of the fact that Jordan didn't play, which is Jordan's fault. Kobe's rings are being disrespected because this is more personal. He had Clyde Drexler in 95. I don't disrespect none of their rings, but the Kobe thing is more personal than Elijah one. One of them is basketball. He played briefly, yeah, but he didn't play against them. But that's nevertheless though. But he played briefly, 17 games and a couple rounds of playoffs. Orlando beat him in the second round. I remember as clear as day. I remember because he came back as number 45. I remember it just like yesterday. He was a little arrogant to come back that spot because then when he lost, he was kind of arrogant about it. He should have held out the rest of that year. But the Bulls weren't going to make the playoffs if he don't come back. He had the double nickel against the Knicks. But Kobe's disrespect, not really. He had that big game against the Knicks, but he was in baseball shape. He wasn't in basketball shape. He played a little bit, but he looked old in that first round against. What's up? What's up? Ted, look up at the top and see if you can stream up what this cat was saying. Because this cat tried to say that, what you tried to say that, Draymond over Lamar Odoms and Draymond Green, they were in battling. They were a lower seed. They stunk in 95. They looked good in 94. They stunk in 95. They should have did that with Dirk and them. That's all this is. Stockpiling what they had. Who else did they add? I haven't kept up recently. I know Cooper Flag is sitting down. What's up? Glad to have you. Everybody coming on board at the right time. I'm not no problem with the Mavs trying to do that because it's a smart strategy. They old, so they got to do with what they got. Kyrie, except if Cooper Flat can catch on, they look good. You're not keeping me on my toes because Scottie Pippen was crying for Jordan to come back in '95 holding the shoes. They were struggling. I remember. Well, Frank Vogel's going to be an assistant. I like Christie. Wasn't Christie? D'Lo gonna snitch him. Oh yeah, Nick Young he dissed that move. It's a nice little cute move. I mean, you if you get them 17 points out of him, 15 to 17, that may win you 2 or 3 games. I like Max Christie. Christie was a good fit. They got to worry about their health though. No, he couldn't. I think you asked me that. She was offensive. That's a violation. So I got no problem with that. She doing stuff for cheap publicity. He shouldn't be high. He should be lower. I should have him like between 35 and 45. Dave Robinson was a better player. What's the argument there? Patrick Ewing didn't win, and he didn't have the NBA career that Dave Robinson had. What's the problem? Dave Robinson was a league MVP, 2 finals. Patrick Ewing wasn't seeing Dave Robinson. Yeah, I mean, I heard about the guy going so she's trash. He didn't need him. He couldn't finish. See, let me see. When you come here saying stuff, do you read about what former Knicks have said about Patrick Ewing, or you just be spouting? Because Charles Oakley's still mad at him. Starting Barry Bonds, gonna bench Reggie Jackson. I gotta cut Ricky Henderson. You gotta keep Bonds, and you gotta keep Reggie. They came up even bigger, and I love Ricky, but Starks, really, is that the best you got? Come on now. Yeah, I saw the Kwame Brown thing. Fat Joe, it's truth to it. No surprise. He did it in '99. I not cutting Reggie. I cut Ricky. I said Bonds and Reggie Jackson stay. Ricky gotta go. Of them three, because you know you got to keep Bonds, because Bonds could do everything Ricky could do, and Reggie is gone. You already said that. I'm trying to repeat yourself. No way, Shaq over Bird. That's your personal opinion. I ain't got no problem with it. And it's not like they had Shaq at 2 and Bird and Duncan at 9 and 10. Um, Bird in his book, if you read his book, said that he saw Shaq winning 3 or 4 rings. He held Shaq in pretty high regard. So, did he not hit 2 free throws in the game 3 against the Dallas Mavericks in the '06 finals, or did you not see that? Or was that before your time? Ninth for you at best, top 5 for me. You need to take that up with Blood Bleacher, not with me. But Shaq's always gonna be top 5 for me. Anybody they changed the rules for, and then he had the impact he did. Oh yeah, oh yeah. his situation was unique. A lot of these cats come in here don't read. How you doing? How you doing? Good to have you. Because he dominated. That's the only thing Duncan didn't do. But I had a news flash for you. 25 years ago, they were one and two of my favorites. Shaq was one, Duncan was two. Yeah, for a career, I would. Because Shaq's peak and prime was more. And I love Duncan. You ain't talking to someone who don't hold Duncan in high regard. But Shaq just gave it to you. Four trips in 5 years to the finals. Three-peat. Dominance. MVP. And he had to go against Duncan and Robinson. And he made them like rag dolls. He that series against the Nets after what Shaq did in '02 was no contest. Duncan was bad. I look, I got Duncan in high regard, but Shaq was no, Shaq was another world. Shaq was another world. And for people who didn't see it, I'm sorry. You gotta watch some videos. Yeah, I'm taking Shaq over Duncan because he owned this thing. If you ask most people in here, ask Ted and whoever else is coming here who knows about the two. Thank you for coming in here, Lansky's World. Ask him who he takes, Shaq or Duncan. Ask the question. Since you think that I'm saying something so crazy, go ahead and ask him. Feel free. I'm not gonna be mad. First of all, I don't think she got robbed, and second of all, it was an inside job, and third of all, I think it's to try to generate some press or some good feelings because she's too tight on security. How the heck you gonna be tight on your songs and now all of a sudden someone jacks your stuff? I remember what Larry Bird did, even though he wasn't the Finals MVP. Were you around back then? Were you around when Cedric Maxwell was the Finals MVP? When Larry Bird averaged like had an 8 point game in one of those games against the Houston Rockets? Were you around to see that? I love Larry Bird. Still the baddest white player I ever saw, and he is in my top 7 or 8 greatest players ever. And I hold him in high regards, no doubt. Because Bird was bad, but Shaq was bad too. Two different types of bad. But you act like someone said, "Oh, yeah," because Usher got robbed in Atlanta too. His car mysteriously got jacked some years ago. I don't know nothing because I know that Bird won all those league MVPs, but he had a better front court. He did have better support overall, and I know he was 3-2. Shaq was 4-2 in the finals, but I know that Shaq went up another gear when it counted. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He never said that about Shaq. The only thing that ever came about is that one time Shaq, he was on the ground and Shaq was offering to hip him up and he said, "Don't do that," you know. But no, he never called him soft. He was very aware of Shaquille O'Neal. And he wouldn't say anything about the man who's the last person to accomplish what he did, which is the three-peat. I don't think he would say that. So I think you need to get your lies retracted on that one because you can't answer simple stuff. And Shaq ran stuff. He's the last of his kind. He grew up with him. He played with him. And he's entitled to his opinion. Of course, then again, Jordan would never give it up for Kareem. So what you want me to? What you want? And Wilt Chamberlain came to Michael Jordan and said they softened the game for you. Now that was said. That was actually a quote. Wilt Chamberlain said they softened the game. They made the game easier for you. What's happening? How you doing? Well, I already told you, Charlene, that Jay Z ain't what you think. It like there's a lot going on. It all depends if they want to, you know. Now ain't no woman every week, but he got around though. That's a fact. He did get around, and he liked them young too. That's your opinion. Why you keep beating over a dead horse? Are you like a troll? Ask Ted what he think. Why don't you ask Ted? See what Ted tell you. I want to hear what Ted got. No, I can't have Kobe over Shaq. I can't. I like Kobe a lot, but Shaq was the better player for most of their primes and their peak. And if I take the best of their best, Shaq got better results. I can put Kobe top 10, you know, but I don't think you understand how. What's the crazy take, though? Tell me, Ted. They not talking too much online. I mean, the thing is Jay Z's business has been out there. Oh yeah, well, thank you. But see, I went deep on that one though. So a lot of people trying to make it a lot more like it's something else. I put the 10 players in. I don't have no ranking, so just take LeBron out, put Kobe in, and then I can work with the rest. So there you go. I don't even want to mention 10. I just mentioned that you take LeBron out, put Kobe in. There you go. And then you can keep the rest as they are. When was he hired though? When was he hired? I ain't know he was hired. First of all, he was already fired when that whole thing with the Super Bowl mess, which he was trying to mac and then he wasn't macking. I mean, I mean, what did he do? Because he really ain't do nothing. He was irrelevant. I know about that. I already talked about that. Did you? If you saw my Joy Taylor video, remember what I said? I had a punchline. I said the Gladys and no Pips. She's not Gladys Knight, and they not the Pips. That's what I was saying. Because Pierce, Irvin, Keyshawn, and sometimes Ocho, they're not the Pips. Anybody come to see that? They 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 were whack, boring. Nobody wanted to watch them. They have no personality. They got personality, but it's not meant for. I saw the. Did you see the Instagram? She was doing yoga and stretching out on the video. Came out yesterday. That's what she be doing. She's an exhibitionist. And what she be doing, she just be teasing. Got turkeys giving up their money like crazy. It depends on their relationship. I don't know. Well, that's your personal opinion. That's what it is. LeBron's not on my top 10, so sorry. I'll put Curry on there. I don't really feel like roasting. I tell you what I had to say about Joy. And it's not even really roast. There's nothing to roast her about. She did what they've been doing. She just don't. She just the problem with her is she's not marketable. You can't do anything with her. And like she's a nice looking woman, but and she's got some knowledge of the game, but she doesn't really. She has no personality. That's the problem. If she had a personality, and she comes across like she's stone faced, like she just, you know, she just doesn't. I don't know. I look at her like somebody that. been devoid of a personality. So she does the figures and what she says, but something's missing. So you know, but I ain't got no. I ain't listen. She got Jason Whitlock. She had some bass in his voice, so that alone. Some people can't respect your opinion. That's all. Got more problem with what I said than what Bleacher had to say. Go figure. Bleacher sucks. So they didn't even have Shea Chris Alexander in the top 100. They got Luca 57. I'm gonna do a part two on that. That's insane. This guy had a historical great 1 year run and 3 straight years of what he's done. He wasn't gonna get his turn. If you must know, I didn't even know he was even interested. If you know where I'm going with that. Yeah, they got Luca 57. Shea didn't make the list at all. Luca. Can you believe it? Luca ain't won no MVP, been the one finals runner up. But Joel Embiid is on the list high. So what does it tell you about this list? They got Joel Embiid in something. I was surprised when he got all Barry White about it because I did my video and I said they got. I said that's the most Barry. I didn't know he had a Barry White in him. That's the deepest he ever sounded. He's like, you know, talking about his daddy was a player, and I'm like, wow, he was watching Joy. A lot of it is. That's why I'm gonna review. I'm gonna do the 51 through 100 because some of them names I'm like, you gotta be kidding. And Shay should be on the list. Shay should be in the 60 to 80 pile easily. I'm gonna keep Dirk and Giannis, and I'm gonna cut Barkley and KG because I think they didn't get the totality out of them. Dirk got a lot out of what he did. I don't think people appreciate what that captain done. To me, he had a KG might have certain things over him. Dirk moved me more. Look at what he did. KG had a role with Paul Pierce and all that. Look at what Dirk did. And Giannis, see, let me say something right there. If Charles Barkley had the kind of play like Giannis did, he'd be in the top 6 to 12 greatest players ever. If he had Giannis's spirit, because Giannis ain't got half the talent Barkley got, but he buckled down. Look at him. He's a walking 30 points, 12 boards. And he got put that chip on his back. That's the difference. That's the difference. I mean, I think and Giannis doesn't get his due. Giannis should be right there with Jokic. So that's how I feel. Barkley and KG had more flash, but Dirk and Giannis to me got more substance. So that's how I feel. Obviously, Barkley and KG gonna be the picks. Barkley's skill set, KG's skill set, but it depends on what your criteria is. Depends on what your criteria is. Everyone got different criteria. I didn't ignore you, Charlene. It's just that when it comes to that sort of situation, sometimes people know what they're getting into. Some people be in denial. You got some women to tell a guy, you can go, you can stay. It's both their faults. No, really. Why would I? I think he overcame a lot. I don't think if you of a certain, unless you were of a certain age to have seen what his career was like and how he made a name for himself, I don't find you to have too many pet peeves with him because he earned his keep. He earned his keep. And I'm gonna tell you something. If Luca might have more skill set, Dirk has some. R. Kelly got a lot of stuff got to go his way, and I got a feeling they'll make him do another 5 years before they even look at him. I don't think Trump's gonna come and be his savior because he was disrespectful to her beyond belief. That's only because Shaq came out and said he's gonna put some two Will Smith two piece on him. She doesn't have to. She's been maligned. I mean, he called her out her name. I mean, they made a joke out of her. His wife up there sniggling in the background. He's only saying it because and see, this is the sad part. My thoughts on that. I'm a huge Smokey Robinson fan first and foremost. He might be the greatest songwriter ever, one of the most important artists ever. That gyrating he been doing on stage at his age, doing it now, that alone could get you locked up. What he be doing or something. The thing is, I don't know if there's enough to it, and I don't want to believe that there was, because I believe Leonardo Kennedy was saying, but you just gotta kind of wonder. You never know. Yep. And see, RG3 is self-loathing, jive turkey. I mean, he just embarrassed himself. So I mean, you didn't played yourself off like a simp, and you just sold yourself out. So you know, and the thing is this, and he just fundamentally just said he was clapping for Caitlin Clark, and he didn't really care for Angel Reese's game. Fine, but he went to a whole different tangent. See, when people be self-loathing, they don't just stop with what. Like you can say, I don't like her game. No, because actually Jennifer Lopez played that role of a lifetime. She actually that was a great fit. Selma Hayek is a better actress, but I don't think she could have done better than J Lo in that role. Sometimes it be like that. And Caitlin Clark wouldn't give it. She wouldn't even rain on him, even if there was a sprinkler out. See, that's the sad part about them shuffleboarders. They they the people they be grinning and showing teeth to wouldn't even uh wouldn't even give them a water hose water if they had water fountain nonstop. They still find a way to shut it off for them. And see, when you shuffle like that, you just embarrassing yourself, showing nothing but teeth. And ain't got no backbone, just all grinning. And the folks clown you all the time. Clown you. She don't know him. And let me say something about that. Let me address that. When I say she don't know him, oh, she's aware he's a personality. She don't know his career. She's a white woman in the mainstream. Who do you think she identifies as her black quarterback? Who? You get one guess. One guess. You can mention that other guy, but I want to know which the first quarterback Caitlin Clark would know. You got two options, but you got one main option. So who the two black quarterbacks she know? And I'm talking success. I'm talking about what she is pushed towards. Not what, not some old, not some never was relic who's got to wear a blazer to remind people his best days and how he got. Who the two quarterbacks? Who? Timothy and who? Who? Okay, the first one is correct. The second one is wrong. The second one would be Lamar Jackson. Russell, had he won that Super Bowl against New England, you would be right. You would be right. The aerodynamics and everything. But because Mahomes got three chips and all that, Russell then bit the dust. Russell is almost becoming obsolete. But Lamar got MVP. So sorry, Russell. Yeah, he got more accomplishment, but he's teetering. What I'm getting at is this. White girl like Caitlin Clark ain't gonna know no, never was shuffleboarding, tap dancing, jive turkey who is now got to do college commentary. He fell off so bad off the main plantation that he got demoted. Oh, he called that back on the spot, and they fired him. But I tell you, that was worth getting fired over. You gonna tell it, you tell it. That's that. So y'all can fire me, but he's a cornball. And he said it because my homeboy we cracked up, but he was right. Because I think he saw this cat was nothing but teeth. And don't be trusting all the black folk that be showing your teeth all the time. See, your cats grin all the time. We smile. We don't be grin. You smile, but you like, you don't be just, because when they show them the teeth, it's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And they talking with their teeth, but they not talking with their mouth. I did a video about that, and that's absurd. Trevor Lawrence was on that. That was ridiculous. No, no. Why would you even ask me a question like that? If you must don't watch my videos. There's two people that I can't stand, and that's two of them turkeys right there. Why would I waste my time and my energy with them two ding-dongs? Dana White is trash, and Trump's race is trash, and I don't care for neither one of them trashes. So no, why would I do that? Sometimes I just think you be trolling to be saying stuff, cause no, you don't really pay my content proper context. Yeah, that's the great hype that ain't gonna come, cause I think his ship didn't sail. When you when you got Mac and Cheese Jones and you were stuck with Dumb and Dumber, not good, not good. Yeah, good call, Goldilocks. It's over though. Ain't it funny how none of them quarterbacks, him and Deshaun, both come from the same school and had all that success in college, and they both faded? That's sad. Both of them faded. Both of them. And they're a good old boy coach. I don't know what he shouldn't be. He shouldn't be. If they had a spine, but see, see, this is the thing. He got his wake up call on. Well, yeah, you can't make light of something. And see, Trump's acting real funny about every Michael Franchese, if you watch his show, Franco Franchese said that somebody was in the cell with Epstein. He said there's no way that you self delete. He said that. Michael Franchese got a video. It's on was out. I already know. I know because Epstein already said their story goes that he had 14 different numbers to get in touch with Trump. They used to be boys. There's a video out there floating where they bopping and shaking their heads together. Stephen A trying to sound correct to appease the Fox News because you know how he shuffle along. He's an old school Italian dude who acts real conservative and says all kinds of stuff. He turned me off when he was talking about Michael Jackson because he was talking about how Michael the mobsters wanted to go get access, and he talks that old conservative Italian boy talk, which is tiring. You see, so old school Italian boy in the neighborhood trips me out because he's a part-time minister and self-righteous, and he's got the old antiquated mindset. See, he got some good stories. He talked about Michael Jordan's father. If you watched his videos, he's got some good stuff. Not saying he ain't got some stuff, and him and Sammy the Bull, that's interesting. And he talked about John Gotti and all that. Now I watch, but when he gets into that old school Italian, that Guido, like they be all politic and all that mess, I ain't trying to hear all that mess. Because they bought off who they bought. Well, I say the same back to you too. Oh, okay. Well, I know how that goes because I had a relative of mine who married an Italian girl. It was crazy. That stuff be real too. She probably did that. Well, she probably in love with him. You sound a lot like Jason Whitlock. Is you Jason Whitlock on the low dry turkey? Because you sound very Whitlockish. No, he's doing what brothers are supposed to be doing. A black man that's taken up for a black woman who's been disrespected. Oh wow, that somehow is wrong. That's a sin now. Yeah, media people be disrespecting Serena Williams and Michelle Obama and Angel Reese. And I'm not saying that people's are saints, but just people that get No one ever has that same kind of energy for Cardi B, and she talks about spiking drinks. Thank you, Ted. No one talks about, if you no, I don't find it creative because I don't see nothing funny about it. I think Angel Reese's been too disrespected, and I don't like it. Of course it is, Charlene. Why would you ask? You do understand that America broke ties from Britain 249 years ago. You do understand about the slaves coming across the globe, and every places have benefited from it. It's even more so. They run neck and neck. They run hand in hand. And if they look into America as some kind of mecca for what they do, what do you think they see? One black president? Do you think they see America as some that has been that they're not neck and neck? And when we talk about racism, like a modeling agency for models, for instance, we want to do that. Who do they promote? As a shrine of beauty. So yes. Now I wouldn't put them together because Angel still got that ring when she was in college. So tell the truth. I think people have a problem because they don't want you to. They want you to conform. They don't want you to think of for yourself. It's all tied together. It's all tied together, Charlene. I mean, agendas are tied, but there are ways that people compartmentalize different things. You know, but I think people be more acceptance of people's orientation than I do think race. I'll say that. I don't think there's nothing that's touching racism. For the simple fact, in other countries, you've had women that are presidents, whether they like it or not, they've had legal size. How many black people have you seen that's been given opportunities and that people had to adhere to? Well, they do stuff. Sometimes they know them and sometimes they don't know. I think they don't like it when we call out their BS. Michael Rappaport, them, Kid Rock. I can go on if you like. That's the problem they have, is Vlad. When you call them out, what is your question? Because that makes no sense. Um, it's a culture. It's natural to have such prejudice, and it's also education. It's both. The prejudice are built from within. The lack of education is what's taught. You emulate your atmosphere unless you break the chain. I never have buck dumpsters say that. The ones that I encountered, they say they down because it's like they got the rite of passage of stuff that was negative, and they said they've been there, done that. That's the one I get, not that other. They get more like, well, I did that, you know, and I don't really want to do like that this one. And they do it in such a way where they try to act like they have moved on. Some things are, some things aren't. The reality is that you emulate your atmosphere. Some things you inherit. You learn the demonic ways of what the world teaches you. Who teach you? Who's been the greatest teacher of what you've learned in this world? What the history books told you. See, when I talk about it from a racial aesthetic, where did you learn the concepts from? Who was the grand pimp, the grand wizard of it all? You know, I tell people like this all the time. You have to look and see what's being pushed as an agenda. Who sets the agenda? Oh, they'll tell you that black folks are the trendsetters and all that mess and spend all the money. They don't tell you who puts forth what you see, who owns everything, who runs everything. There's a big difference. So you have to hear people talk about, oh well, you know that. No, it ain't like that. It ain't like that. You were born not to know, and subsequently you see choices, and sometimes you forced. It's been pushed on the culture though. It's bigger than that. When you ask, I asked the question. Some people are born certain ways, but a lot of times they see choices. Well, cloud chasing is something that you aspire to be a part of or simulate. Like it's that. That's you, like you get a promotion and you get to stand over people and you got a special desk or something, and that's clout chasing for some because they want a title. Some people do it because that's what they've been taught. That's the only way they're gonna get ahead. Some don't do it because they don't feel that it's worth the sacrifice. Well, yeah, it was a different day and time to that extent. Even though, depends if you had any friends who had magazines and stuff, you heard stuff. But again, it's a different day and time. But things are more forward now. So there was a lot of stuff that changed. My answer is a reflection of the facts that some people are born with certain things that are built in what they're taught, and then some things become choices what they're learned. So some things predate you, some things come out you. That's the best way to answer because you depends. It's a lot goes on with where you grew up. Can't say everybody's all have the same. Okay, I will address this. This is a probably the best question you've asked me today. Yep. Just like you had a cat who used to sell candy and sell it for like 10, 15, 20, 25 cents. There's always one hustler. Just like when I look at Barry Bonds and Ken Griffey Jr. Bonds was athletic, Griffey was gifted, but Bonds made himself into a compartment. So you can look at somebody and say they got it. Like Michael Jackson had it. And then there's somebody else. They both worked hard, but somebody just had this it because they had that radiance. It's like they were that. And then there's someone who was talented something else. So, oh, there was always a cuz somebody did. There was a cat I would know selling candies. It like, listen, being in the school is like jail or someplace where you want something. And there's always a one cat that's got all the right candy or got the right this or got the right that. And it's a fact. Always that one cat. Never fails. Yeah, you could say that. You could say that. But that doesn't make it bad. Again, they both they both had something the other had. Oh yeah. Well, Beyonce got talent, but the thing is with Michael and Whitney, they had an it. She worked and got to a point where she got better, but they had an it, and then they were talented and they connected. It's differences to this. It's levels to this stuff. Oh, that's old, Ted. That's old. She's all patriotic now. After Trump then called her out, dissed her. But that's because they in trouble. But you about to see, so that's why all the lawsuits is coming. Tell you. Well, Beyonce is successful. That I can agree with you on. I wasn't. He can't talk about nobody. I'm gonna let you in on a secret in case y'all don't know. There's nothing that you can say that Trump's ever said or done that I'm gonna agree with. Sorry. And I don't have no dog in the race, Republican or Democrat. But there's nothing good I can ever say that Trump was about. He just mad because nobody put nothing on him. Ooh, now that's tough. Ooh, that's tough. That's why they get along so well. If they couldn't be best friends or get married, they have association. Ooh, I say LeBron, and it's close by a weave because at least with Beyonce fans, they know that they have to kiss the ring of something that came before. But her fans are horrible. It's close. But his is more. His be making excuses. His be saying the wildest stuff though. You know. See, in her case, I will say this. In her case, she doesn't have any female competition or really a male competitor that's out. Maybe Bruno Mars, but she don't have nobody that was out like a Steph Curry, where you could say, okay, even though I do think Gaga and Bruno, but they came after her though, so she's got that going for her. But LeBron, Steph Curry, he can't. You know, the fans are delusional. They find more ways to keep copping, but they both bad. Well, her husband is one of the worst of that. But I said that hers is a little bit more tough. There's got to be Brady fans because Mayweather fans aren't that many. Who all do you know that be capping for Floyd? Who you know be tapping for Floyd? He's not as popular as Brady. So, I mean, I know one thing though, him and Roy Jones Jr., that's hilarious right now. I wouldn't call him that because he started off as an Elvis impersonator, was Michael Jackson, but I wouldn't say he is because he can actually write songs. He's actually good at what he does. He actually did deal with racism because 20 years ago, they told him when he was going to Motown, they told him that, why don't you write songs for somebody that's white and blue eyed? That's what they told Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars got told the same thing Prince did when Prince wanted to put Purple Rain out. And they said, well, how don't you make that movie for John Travolta in 84? And you fast forward to 2004, Bruno was told, why don't you write those songs for a blind, blue eyed guy? That's what they told him. It just so happens he is versatile, but I'm just saying. Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, baseball's back on Friday. Yeah. So when you ask me certain conversations, and I make a point of like reading up on people, and I'd be like, yeah, Bruno was told that 21 years ago. So he ended up writing songs for Gym Class Hero. He did more songwriting at first before the Hooligans, all that came out. He grew up around the cats and stuff. So, you know, but he was a born performer though. He just happens to be versatile because he didn't work with Gucci Man and he worked with Gaga. Now the Anderson Park thing that was kind of suspect because they was trying to sell some records with that. Now this actually benefited Anderson though. Drake and Lil Wayne far as what? For what? They both overrated. What's your point? When you gonna mention some cats, you better come with somebody that I like. Wheezy by default, but they both suck though. I did like the Hot Boys though. You already know. It's gonna be Shohei, of course. But if Cal Riley keeps going off though, numbers wise, he might get it. I'm sure if Aaron Judge will get it though, unless Riley hits about 65 home runs, then he'll have to get it. But Shohei in the National League, it's not up for discussion. Best team, best player, you know the rules. For me, for me, it's Biggie. For pop folks, it's gonna be 50, but I'm gonna tell you why. Because Big was bringing the East Coast back. That record was big for the East Coast. Even though it was a West Coast based record, it was huge. They needed it in '94 because the West was tearing their behind up. Snoop and Dre had tore their behind up. So Biggie was everything. 50 because it was more commercialized. And he was like revived. He had got mouth to mouth resuscitation because nobody would touch him. Yeah, no one was touching 50. So when you work with him and Dre, and then of course it led to the movie and all that. And he had a big year. Uh, I would say the Ghetto Boys at first. I say the Ghetto Boys, Willie D and them. Who I watch his show, Scarface. I'd say they did. Obviously, Master P was bigger though. I saw Judge Dredd a long time ago. I don't mess with Stallone no more though, so I'm done with Stallone. I got my memories of back in the day, but I don't mess with him no more. Hello there, how you doing? I did a video about it. Well, there shouldn't be no backlash about Superman because Superman was for everybody. When I was coming along, they said it. Richard Pryor was in a Superman back 40 years ago, but did they say he had too much time? There's a lot of hateful people out here, that's all. That's all I'm going to say about that. A lot of hateful folks. Man, the Brown Hornet too. I mean, the thing about it is, if you're a superhero, that means you're for humanity. That's for everybody. So, yeah, you can be. No, they're not. I only watch old movies pretty much. They can be platonic. I mean, I think that's you usually start off that way if you're smart. You got to learn how to be friends before you go anywhere. A lot of them in everyday life, man. That's not no revelation because I mean that's the way of the world. It's just that when we have fantasy, we like to think that people got a fair chance. If people are crying about Superman being an immigrant and all that, Dean Cain is a sellout. What the heck he think he is? Yeah. But the problem is it's in everyday life. Yeah, okay, Uncle Summer did win the championship. Yeah. They have separate. It's again, it's segregated. Even when you do comics, though. What's up, Tom? How you doing? It's always been segregated, though. Again, when you open up this thing about DC Comics, you know Michael Jackson was gonna buy that too. He was in line to probably buying it. That was one of his plans. he was an artist himself. He did a lot of drawings. But anyway, that's I don't know what that means. No, because so-called successful people got problems like we all do. And depends on what you qualify, what you're gonna give life advice on. It's good to see you, time. Um, your your life experiences gives you the best. Define success, because success means different things to different people. Some people just having their six senses is success. Some people success is defined by what's in their bank account. Some people is defined by how many kids they got. It depends on what you're looking for. So we're talking about a little bit of everything. What's happening in RC? It's kind of scattered. Glad to have you. What's on your mind, RC? I got the Beyonce poll question, which is pretty big. It's got 9 votes, which is pretty good. I think this is more trying to slow down them lawsuits. That's what I think it is. The money getting rolled out, and lawyers is coming. That one is going to be strictly for video, and I don't really look at that as a good matchup, to be honest with you. I don't have none of her albums, and I wouldn't get caught dead buying none of them. I've never really cared for her records. I'm gonna tell you why that's not a good matchup, because that Rocket team, the way they got to the finals, it was a nice pieced up together, but that Celtics team was predicted to win. So I don't really. Mm, that wouldn't be like my. That wouldn't be the one that out for me. The scrappy Rocket team. If you put them against the '04 Pistons, I'd give you. I might make a video of that. But that '08 Celtics team would clobber them. That team was just better. I always got to deal with a contrarian. Time is a very cool person. Why you ask? First of all, when you ask these questions, were you around to see the movie? Because I want to make sure before you ask. Because it's not even close. Beverly Hills Cop in a blowout. Eddie Murphy was at. It's not even close. Now that is legit, except I'm taking the 99 Spurs, because Elijah wasn't Elijah. He didn't become that guy till about 7, 8 years later. Whereas Duncan was more fine tuned and Robinson. So Ralph Sampson would have been the X factor of it. So I got to give it to the Spurs. Eddie Murphy was hard to beat when he first was out. They went to the finals his second year. What you talking about? He wasn't. He was. He was a finals MVP. He was more advanced at that particular time. He had come into his own. As a matter of fact, if it wasn't for Shaq's dominance, Duncan probably would have been camping out in June in the finals his first 5 or 6 years. So I don't know what you're talking about. Now, you wanted to defend Duncan up above and now I'm giving you some insight, and now you're trying to downplay it. Well, go figure. It's because she's got to make that money. She owes her ex husband money. She ain't got no money. That's what that is, Charlene. She broke. She pimped out, drugged out, drunk out. She got to do what she got to do. She got to pay rent every night. Oh, if you ain't heard about it, Allen Houston and Latrell weren't washed. They still lost 4 games to two to Boston. San Antonio won 4-1 over the Knicks. That's not a debate. The Spurs team was better. They had a better bench. Popovich would have outcoached Bill Fitch too. That's not a really good debate. Because I lived in Houston during that. I was in Houston during that time. Rodney McCray. See, well, when you ask these questions, you remember stuff that you asked. I don't know if you were around to see it. Because there's a lot of different choices that it's not about who's the better singer. Jaguar may have a better voice, but she had a better material. See how that works? Goes back to what we were talking about gift and talent. Mary had the right song, right place, right time. Mm, when movies come out a particular time, there wasn't time when there were what we call lower tier people who played big roles. But after it became more Hollywood and visual, that stopped going to cats that you would. That's not the same thing, no. That's not the same. The Celtic team only is considered one of the greatest teams ever and only the best starting front court. So that's not a legit argument. That's not legit. They were in their prime and their peak. There's a big difference. You know. Again, Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale, Bill Walton, Dennis Johnson. That's not going to be easy to beat. But you asked me about the Rockets Twin Towers against Duncan and them. I'm not gonna make a video because I don't. I take requests when I feel it's merited. Charlene, you can go back to Josephine Baker. That's an old question. That's not video worthy. Now, again, if you know what you're talking about, you would be smarter to probably say 86 Celtics against the '05 because they're not good. You missed out. You should have said the '86 Celtics against the '05 Spurs. That's a video. No, well, see, Jaguar Wright did sing, but she got whiteballed. She could have. They didn't put no money on her. Do you know how the industry works though? It's not what you think. And just because you come up with 90 albums does not mean they all hit. She could sing Mary under a table, but then again, a lot of people can sing Mary under a table, but they don't have the budget. Do you understand how the business works? They put money on who they want. Michelle predated Mary J. with the whole style, but she didn't get another record out to '98 when she married Suge. So again, he had every right to be. It's nothing to discuss because I can discuss it here. How would you feel if you were on a label and they were building it for you and the person, and then they got somebody who was around 2 years later and they gave them all the budget? How would you feel? Because that's what happened to Snoop, who was the biggest act going. And they basically made Pac into a martyr. But Snoop built Death Row. So, in a very competitive, ego-driven business, he'd have every right to. I don't know, but he didn't have what Pac had, and Pac didn't have what he had. Snoop had uncanny appeal to sell the middle of America. Pac had this different. They were two different types of cats, but they had an it, which was. I'd have to really think about if I want to do a video about that though. But I don't know if I'd waste my time because the problem with that is that you get kind of, I don't want to. I can read between the lines though. Still went multi-platinum. How was that bad when he still went multi-platinum? He was still going double platinum. And let's keep it 100. Only until really, because I was around to remember it. Yeah, all eyes on me. Make a video. All eyes on me when he was a death row and all that kicked in. But he wasn't out. He wasn't bigger than Snoop before that. Until he got locked up and then they gave him a new and they put some new money on him. He was respected, but he wasn't bigger than Snoop. Snoop had the streets on lock 93 to early 94. And like I tell cats all the time, I don't know if you were around. And if you weren't and you're getting bad secondhand smoke, then you need to ask someone who can tell you. Because I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Now, he could have been jealous of him. Yeah. You'd be upset too. You made all that hype. Industry impersonated you. Do you realize that B.I.G.'s Ready to Die, that debut with Puffy and all that was a love letter to Dre and Snoop because they was emulating what had sold. Because Big Papa was a the Isley sampled and the loop was just based off of that groove. And you had the Brat and Jermaine Dupri emulating Dre and Snoop. R. Kelly was doing it too. I can name you acts that were trying to sound like Snoop and Dre. 93, early 94. They had the game on lock. Lock. He doesn't have to make cohesive album as long as he puts out something that hits. That's all that people care about. Because that's what the culture teaches, Charlene. The culture always pushes the bad guy. The good guy gets taken for granted until they get 35 and busted down with two kids, and then they are kind of like go down on their luck. And then that guy done drain their pockets, and he's on lockup, and he's getting all the money in commissary, and he's still the same. And he goes upside her head, talks crazy. Cat that's been doing his job. Buster can spit, but I gotta be in the mood for him. Because he's one of them energy bar kind of rappers. He's one of those guys I can only listen to for like 30 minutes, and it gets kind of jarring. Yeah, actually, his slow songs, the R&B stuff is funny. Nelly, but I don't like Nelly though. But Nelly, because it was catchy. They was kind of the same cat, except from different parts. Ja Rule was catchy. They both kind of in the same boat. Nelly a little bit more versatile, but they kind of in the same boat. Nelly was like a double Junior Whopper broke LL Cool J, and Ja Rule was like a triple broke somewhere DMX Tupac. But catchy though. You're the only person I ever heard say that because no one talks about Exhibit musically. The only thing they ever say about Exhibit is Pimp My Ride. That's the only thing people know him for. I listened to his corny music, and it was all right him and Drake for a moment, but he never had a career. He don't even have half of the game's career. So you're the first to say that. You ask me, it's Buster, but that's not saying nothing. But Buster blows him out the water. No one talks about Exhibit. Not like unless they diehards, unless they diehard fans. I'm just keeping it 100. That's all they know him for. No, he had a big old deal with Drake. He had, but he never did nothing. I mean, he was on. He did. He was entertaining, but he didn't blow up. His name was cool, but he never blew up. No one talks about him. I can tell you that. Chameleon because just for one song alone, do you think it? Yeah, everybody's got followers. Depends on what artist you're talking about, because that's kind of a loaded statement. Depends on who you're talking about. Chameleon got him beat. Exhibit was trying to be street and catchy, and Paul Wall, he was catchy for me. Kid Rock probably got more talent, but I listen to Paul Wall more of the two. If I had to go that route, 56% said Beyonce. Okay, that's a good poll today. Okay, so I'll be on for about another 30 minutes before I got to go. I'll be back probably after today, probably Friday or Saturday. But I'm on for 30 more minutes today. Probably not nothing tomorrow. I doubt it tomorrow. But definitely I'll probably try to get back on Friday. But in the meantime, let's keep the questions coming. It made no difference. I actually like that night song, the one they had on their third record. I thought they had a cool little thing going because they came in a tough era. And they weren't just some corny kid act that people didn't think they had legitimate. They were okay. They were okay. I used to warm. Can I warm it up, Chris? That's what I'm about to do. Can I warm it up, Chris? No, them cats were big when they were out. I kid you not. I worked with a cat. Yeah, well, they had that one song, that Tonight song, but yeah, the clothes, they caught on. They were there for a moment. Nagging was my favorite song by Yin Yang. That was my cut. They used to crack me up. But basically, gimmick ball. When they fell off, they fell off though. But they had a couple songs that, couple songs I like. No, I'm not gonna do that. That's too personal. And he had love for her. Sometimes I have to respect just human decency because that's not really a video that I would make because I have to be familiar with the parties and I wouldn't do that. Did he really survive? Because it's like he sacrificed and gave everything to be where he's at. So you really think that's survival? I know, I heard about that. He liked every black woman he saw. I know. That's nothing new. I'm sure you heard the story about him and Janet Jackson, and he got around. Well, that's why you gotta read. Come on here and you'd be surprised. Stuff be out there floating. He sent her all kinds of roses and everything. She was. And that we can agree on. Especially when she was starting out. I'd say up until Bodyguard era, she was like floating. Well, then she break those chains. And that's hard for some to do. There's a lot of complexity to her life. So, because in might be a rumor that Teresa Graves was her real mother, and you need to look up Teresa Graves. And that Sissy may have adapted, so it's a lot to look into that. It runs pretty deep about Whitney. In that order, because Black Thought never got out of Questlove's shadow. He can rap, but he never got out of his shadow. He never had the career Common had, just because he got the TV gig. And Most Def is like in between both of them, because Most Def got the critical acclaim and done the versatility. So it's in that order. Funny you mentioned those three. You thought you were gonna get me on that one. Black Thought probably can lyrically hang and run them, but he didn't have the appeal as Common because again he's been in Questlove's shadow. When you see the roots, all you think about that Afro pick. And Black Thought can spit, but and Most Def had but Black Star, which I like back in 98, 99, with him and Talib Kweli. So that's a pretty good little three right there. Well, depends on how you look at it, but I like Most Def back then though. Because I listened to all three of them. I listened to Black Star with Talib Kweli. I had a buddy of mine. I don't even want to talk about that to you because that was a bust before. They got the wrong brother. And him and Khalid Mack didn't do nothing with the charges except steal money. So I don't even want to talk about that. So let me address RC on this one. Because I listened to Most Def had some spit to him. Miss Fat Booty was a jam. He had some cuts. He had some lyrical content and he could spit. He got into other aspects of show business because he was a showbiz kid. They all so, but he could definitely. But Common to me, there's tears to this. So how some people talk about Lupe Fiasco, but see Nas style, Common, and then it goes into that succession. Black Thought could have been even better, but again, he never got out the Afro shadow. Sleeper, either gonna be Patrick Mahomes or somebody from your division, some NFC North. That's what I see. If not, then somebody from the Rams. It's gonna be something like that. Yeah. Well, when I listen to MCs, there's different people that move me for different ways. The Common was legit. It's just that he got Hollywood fired like Most Def did. But they built enough track record. That's the only thing with Black Thought. Like I said, had he not been so tied to Questlove, he been on his own. Like seen him, maybe if he had a worked in someone's camp and it'd have been interesting. I'll never know though. So that's the problem. Sounds like LeBron fans. She can't play because she can't shoot them threes. There ain't much to her. Yes, I'm very tired of her. Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate that. I wouldn't be in the car. Why would you ask me about three bigots? That's why I question some of your trolling. Cause see, why would I want to be in a car with three bigots? None of them. Mel Gibson is disgusting. The problem with him is that he didn't know how to go solo. He had a imagery and a vibe, and I like some of his stuff, but he didn't know how to go solo. Everybody ain't cut to be a solo act. That takes work. He started believing in press clippings because he was in Poetic Justice. He done a little couple of acting, and and they say, oh, but and they all try to branch off. Not that dude. Hey, that's the business though, Ted. You're saying something in 2025 when that was the norm in 1975 and 1985. Sad to say, that's how a cat end up getting in certain matches. If he don't do that and tries to get militant, then they fool around and they might lowball him. So Q-Tip tried to be more of a producer. He wanted to be a different aesthetic. That's what was up. Well, again, just saying. I'd say fact. Since you want to mention obscure rap groups, I mean, I know them, but I mean, I like Tribe all right. I'm not the biggest Tribe fan, but I do understand Q-Tip's impact, no doubt, because that deep cover song that was the one Dre and Snoop. The beats were inspired by what you know was inspired by Tribe. Tribe had an impact because I remember back in the day when I left my wallet in El Segundo. I left my wallet in El. They had cuts. Midnight Martyr, that whole Midnight Tour, that was a record. That was a hippie-fied record right there in '93. I remember that. I remember the girls I used to dance with loving that song. I remember the award tour, all that. Some people I do. It depends. I just feel when people be trolling, I question. No, no. The '90s was my last favorite era, and I like the early '00s. I go back further back musically. That's the last. And I'm gonna tell you because everything changed when everything went online, and the acts when they started making you into a ringtone act. When Rihanna was the biggest selling ringtone act, that right there, you knew that was the end of your music right there. The 15-second songs made you blow up. Yep. Biggie was on the hook, but they had Junior Mafia and they had Luke Campbell in the video. Yep. Boom, 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 boom. That's a nice sample too. Rain Dance by Jeff Lober Band. If you ever hear the original, that thing bumps hard. Boom, 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 boom. I like Nipsey Hussle as a man. I wasn't that big musically on him, but I do respect what he did for the community. I just, you know, well, I was excited because I could actually, when someone called me, right, I gave everyone a song, but that cost money back then. That's when T-Mobile was hustling you, unless you could get like the 3 for 10, which became like the CD single, the cassette single. That's how they did it. But I liked it back then. But then I thought about Rihanna was the biggest ringtone, so I was like, that means your song is only good for like 20 seconds. That was a diss. The only time an artist made me sad when they passed was probably with Michael Jackson, if I'm honest, the last time. I felt something when Whitney died and when Prince died and Rick James, but Michael's hit because I was like, that hit a bit. I don't think Nipsey showed me anything musically that I was missing though. I heard his tracks. I just didn't really thought he was a decent cat and he gave a lot back to the community, but I wasn't really like I don't know. It didn't hit me like I heard anything that I was going, oh. ears are different like that, so don't go by me. But I'm funny about music. Music, I'm very funny about. Because I'm one of them few people that think that the best people are either locked up or dead musically. Sorry. And then most other people are old, so now, so. I happened to be downstairs at the place I was at the time, sleeping on the couch, and that came on my computer. Joe Montana. He's still the coolest under 2 minutes. There's only three guys that come to mind: Montana, Brady, and Mahomes. Now Montana more so than Brady on that, because I seen it with my own eyes. Montana got the job done. He was the coolest cat under pressure still. Brady got him beat overall, but as far as the coolest, Montana. And Mahomes is right there. They're the only three that I hold in my clutch, that I hold up. Those are my three. So the Bronx, yo. Bronx. Nope. Nope. Peyton has got the same problem as Greg Maddox, the pitcher. And there's always somebody, yeah, they want a ring and all that. And Clayton Kershaw. But postseason was janky. So now Elway had moments, but that was isolated. But consistency, Mahomes got him beat. Mahomes, Montana, Brady. That's my answers. Elway would be probably fourth or fifth with that. Um, I think that his play action. I think his play action was pretty wicked. Pretty much underrated. Fresh Prince. Well, yeah, that's a whole nother story, but they're not gonna touch him now. He gonna fool and be a politician. He from the South, so they'll find a way to go. Martin had more versatility with like how he did his character, but what Fresh Prince was my show though. I watched Fresh Prince more though. I'm not gonna lie, you had more going on. When he messed up with Regina King, that made it Regina. Well, I mean, Tisha Campbell, that watered it down. Too hard of a question because Caleb Williams got to get in. They first 7 games. Ted, it's gonna know what I'm talking about. They first 7 games is gonna determine their whole season. So how they start their first 7 or 8 games when they get their bye, that's gonna be their season. And if they hit and miss, so last year I wasn't feeling that. They won a couple of games with their defense, and that whole thing with Washington. So parenthood, parenthood for me. But I mean, Caleb Williams looked pretty good. A lot's gonna depend on, like I said, for 7 8 weeks. I got a feeling if they can get the dumbness out of them and not do nothing stupid and hang in there, they got a chance. Yeah, I heard about that. I already know. We talk about that almost all the time, but yeah, I like Sister Sister. Yeah, 56% saying yes. Okay, for Beyonce. Okay, pretty good, pretty good. That's what time I got. Okay, I got 15 more minutes, so let's make it count. going back in Family Matters. That's a long time ago. Wow. T and Tamara are wilding on if you watch them on Instagram. Yeah, I remember Moesha. That's back when Brandy was big, and then the Parkers and all that. I liked it back then. Father MC. Yeah, except she fell out and lost her mind though. You mentioned people that I don't know if you heard about how their stories turned out. Locked and dealt with some serious mental issues though. Yep. She's a mental has some stuff going on with her. Gotta make the rent. Hollywood ain't the same Hollywood it was, so night and day. Very melodic song. Brony was catchy, but more melodic with night and day. If we're being honest, yes. If we're being honest, it's the Cosby Show. But in pop culture, they're gonna probably say the Brady Bunch to be different. No, nope. Because his brother was his manager, and he had other forces that he was so caught up in that type of hype that he didn't allow himself just to create an edge on. He had a great window. Well, he was a precursor for Usher. He wasn't gonna be no Michael Jackson, but people were Usher. But he just didn't put the you got to put the work in. You got to stay hungry. He hit big, and then he kind of got comfortable and complacent, and he had his brother managing him, and that was a no no. And also, he just didn't have the drive. What's that supposed to mean? What's the whole thing about mentioning Joe Namath? Did something happen to Joe Namath? Because he also was one of the most overrated quarterbacks. Yeah, he had incredible thing, but I remember they wouldn't even let him sit. That was a sad time. So, but yeah, that's the thing about Bobby. But he came out with such a strong album. Yeah, I remember that. Drugs and also just not having his thing right. Start Tevin Campbell, bench Brian McKnight, and cut Case. That's a no brainer. Tevin's one of the baddest ever. Brian McKnight got talent, but he didn't keep it going, and he fell off his pen game. Did, but he still they Nate dog. Ain't nobody gonna pick no case. Case like a fourth broke version. Musically, Ted. We're talking about his talent. I'm not talking about him personally. Personally, I can't stand him, but musically, he was a talented cat. Could play and could sing. You're trolling. That's what you're doing. He wasn't better than nothing over Marino. His career sure wasn't. He threw a nice spiral. This case was like a broke version, a better version of cats. He was like a third tier down the street of a lot of cats that were better. That's why. Yeah. But I musically, I'm not trying to remember him. Could have been like an updated Luther. He didn't have the goods. He blew it. I'm, he's one of those guys that yeah he can sing. I can stand a lot of acts, but I don't like half-hearted. You up here asking me about people that ain't that you know. I like great artists because you're the best. No, he's acrobatic. He can move, but no. Usher got more better showmanship than Brown. Brown's got a better performance, but a lot of artists I like. Y'all just don't name them. That's all. Especially when you're up here trying to defend some Buster like case. Give me a break. I mean, come on now. You know, I told you about Jaheim. He was good. That's a sorry threesome. Trey Songz got the better voice. Chris Brown got the better career. Tank got the better pen. Take your pick. That's what you get. No, he sucked when he was with the Rams. He was very ordinary the rest of his career. Depends on what you define for popularity. See, that's kind of a loaded question because there's a lot that you could define that by. Taylor Swift is just as popular as any female artist of the last 25, 30 years. So, I mean, what's your question? I mean, because when you ask that question, there's about probably about three or four or five that come to mind. Madonna's one of them. Diana Ross would be one of them. Whitney would be one of them. Aretha would be one of them. But it depends what your criteria is. And you could throw Frank Sinatra in there too. You could give old Blue Eyes a run. If you older than 75, ain't nobody under 55 gonna know who that is. Come on now. I said Madonna, said Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston, Taylor Swift. You said popular. I'm telling you popular. Thursday ain't like that though. Madonna's in that argument. I like a lot of artists. It's just that when we talk music, you gotta, again, I do videos. I talk about different people. Well, she's no longer alive, so that's kind of medically impossible, my friend. You ask a person what their opinion is, and then you turn around and say, "Stop." I don't understand. She may have had her beat in terms of some talent, but Madonna was hugely popular. more people know Madonna than they do Doris Day. You can do a poll on that in your local neighborhood and see what kind of reaction you get. Go down your street. No, I don't really think about Betty White. I mean, she was feisty. I'm only answering the questions. I'm not getting into who was jealous or who didn't like people. Let's just stick to like if someone asks a question, they said who was more popular. I'm just sticking to it. I'm not getting into who was jealous or being petty about nothing. Just Madonna. Madonna didn't like nobody. Most acts don't though. Okay, I'm on for 5 more minutes. Doris Day was popular about 50 plus years ago. Steiner Family Stone covers Curry Sarah Sarah, but she was not as big as Madonna. Okay, now people are just trolling. That's why I'm gonna go in 5 minutes. I can't be dealing with no trolling. Any Linux I can agree on musically. Taylor Swift I can't. And for the record, I like Beyonce and Adele better than I do. Can't stand them, but I'll take them over Taylor Swift any day of the week. I'm not really taking the stupid polls. Michael Jackson's gonna win, and I'm not really taking the dumb poll. And again, we talking music. You gotta give me, you know, yes, I would take Beyonce over them. That's not saying I know. That's my cue to go. But anyway, I will be back in probably a few days, and appreciate the ones with good commentary and questions. And have a good day. Peace. Appreciate it when it came through. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. I'm out. Peace.